Incredible single dad declines XS wedding invite. What he revealed changed everything forever. Jake held the wedding invitation in his hands, a crisp piece of cardstock that closed the gap between his past and present. His heart thudded like a hammer. Sarah was marrying a businessman, someone who bathed in wealth, glamour, and the kind of life he could only dream about. Whispers echoed around their tight-knit suburban neighborhood, gossip like shivering leaves in the wind, everyone already speculating. As a mechanic, he lived paycheck to paycheck, the weight of the world resting on his calloused hands. But nothing stung more than the thought of Mia, his bright-eyed daughter, planting hope in her heart, hopes of her parents reuniting. "Dad, are you going to Mom's wedding?" she had asked, her excitement bubbling like the summer sun. She was just 8, but her love for fantasy was vast. The idea of magic and fairy tales often spilled from her lips. Even amidst their struggles, he gritted his teeth, feeling his chest tighten. "We'll see, Mia," he said, forcing a smile. But inside, emotions churned like fierce winter winds. How could he face Sarah, the woman who walked out on their home, the one who left a trail of pain and confusion in her wake, now basking in someone else's glow? Days turned into restless nights. Just when Jake thought he'd made up his mind, a chance encounter with Nancy, an old neighbor, changed everything. Leaning over their familiar white picket fence, Nancy shared moments from Sarah's past, a lonely woman battling her own demons during their marriage. It struck him hard, chiseling away at the bitterness he wore like armor. Did he truly understand what she faced? As the wedding day closed in, Jake felt like a puppet, strings tangled and out of control. Then, as if in a cruel twist of fate, he stumbled upon a secret Sarah's past, long buried beneath layers of regret. The heartbreaking truth reframed everything he thought he knew about their relationship. The wedding would take place beneath blooming cherry blossoms, laughter ringing bright and clear, while he'd be navigating a minefield of unresolved feelings. Maybe she was fighting her own battles, he thought, wrestling with the storm brewing inside him. Would he be selfish by denying Mia this moment? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Amidst the aroma of grilled burgers and sweet summer breeze, Jake took a step back. Declining the invitation felt liberating, but it ignited murmurs at neighborhood gatherings. "Did you hear about Jake? Oh, that poor guy." Yet for every whispered word on the front porch, a sense of clarity washed over him. This was not just about the past. This was about parenting. About teaching Mia resilience, showing her the strength in choices. Even when they sting, his heart ached as he imagined Mia's doe-like eyes brimming with confusion. He could do right by her. But what if this path opened him to a door long shut? Jake finally decided he wouldn't attend. And as the sunny day of the wedding approached, the warmth of summer flowers lined the sidewalks. And with Mia beside him, he contemplated reaching out to Sarah. Could they face their past together? The question lingered, coiling tightly around his heart, urging him forward. Jake stood at the kitchen counter, the morning light streaming through the window, casting warm rays over his half-finished coffee. Mia had already dashed off to play with her dolls, her laughter echoing sadly through the house. He could still feel the weight of the decision pressing down on him, the invisible hand gripping his heart. With each ticking second, the wedding loomed larger in his mind. The images of Sarah, radiant in her dress, wrapped in the arms of her new life, played like a video on loop. It gnawed at him, an endless cycle of hesitation and grief. He turned his gaze toward the living room where walls had witnessed countless memories shared between him, Sarah, and Mia. The room was filled with shadows of happier times. Yet today, it felt hollow. He pondered over Sarah's struggles Nancy had revealed. Alone, battling her demons. Was he wrong to think of her solely as the one who abandoned them? A thought burrowed deeper into his mind. Could it be true that the woman he once loved sought happiness in a way that had eluded both of them back then? His phone buzzed, jolting him out of his spiraling thoughts. It was Mia holding up a drawing she had created. Sketched in crayon were stick figures, each emblazoned with rays of sunshine. "Look, Dad, this is our family," she exclaimed with pure joy, her eyes sparkling like unblemished stars. The lump in Jake's throat grew heavier. Our family, he thought, the phrase echoing painfully in the silence. That family was fractured, and while he yearned to protect Mia from disappointment, he couldn't ignore the sharp tug in his heart. "Can we go to the cherry blossoms later?" Mia asked, bouncing slightly on her toes. "Maybe pick some flowers?" Jake's heart warmed at her innocent hope. "Sure, kiddo," he replied, forcing a smile despite a tumult of emotions. But as they drove to the park later that afternoon, the gargantuan trees, heavy with pink blooms, had a different story to tell. They were beautiful but reminded him of how life often lurked behind the veil of happiness, fragile, barely holding on. He watched Mia frolic beneath the blossoms, her laughter ringing like music. For a brief moment he felt a sense of peace. Then it hit him like a freight train. This was not just about them. What happens if I never reach out, if I never let go of the past? His heart raced with the weight of that question, the fear of consequences blooming as he watched Mia collecting petals. Later that evening, the sun dipped low, casting long shadows on the ground. Jake found himself sitting on the porch, staring at the invitation resting on the table. The decision he had made felt both correct and deeply unsettling. But as he picked up the invitation, something in him stirred. What if? He whispered to himself, the words barely breaking the silence. What if reaching out could bring closure, not just for me, but for Mia too? Mia appeared beside him, clutching her latest flower creation, a peculiar but adorable bouquet. "Can we write a letter to Mom?" she asked innocently. Jake's heart sank. The thought of writing to Sarah terrified him, but the innocence in Mia's request reignited a flicker of bravery deep within. "Maybe we can," he responded, taking a deep breath. As they made their way inside, he thought of the path opening before him. Would this be a journey of reconciliation or further heartache? The question loomed as he grabbed a pen, the weight of their past pressing on his shoulders. Jake glanced at Mia, her excitement palpable. Just as he was about to write, the doorbell rang loud and unexpected. A rush of adrenaline surged through him. This was the moment. Would it be the ghost of his past or the chance for a new beginning? The door swung open, and there stood Sarah, a mix of hope and apprehension in her eyes. Jake's breath caught in his throat as he stood frozen at the door, disbelief flooding his senses. Sarah, the woman who once felt like home, stood there nervous and vulnerable, just like he felt inside. Her vibrant hair floated around her shoulders, catching the evening light like a halo, and for a moment, memories cascaded back, the two of them laughing, dancing, dreaming. "Mia?" Sarah's voice was a whisper, but it carried the weight of so much more. Jake glanced behind him, seeing Mia still clutching her homemade bouquet, eyes bright with anticipation and innocence. "Mom!" Mia squealed, darting past Jake to wrap her small arms around Sarah. The world around them faded, and the unexpected reunion bubbled with raw emotions that entangled their hearts again. Jake struggled to gather his thoughts as they embraced, the little girl giggling and spinning in excitement. Sarah knelt down to Mia's level, her expression shifting from apprehension to joy. "I missed you so much, sweet pea." The sight of them fueled a surge of resentment and love within Jake. He was thankful for Mia's delight but angry at the sudden burst of emotion in Sarah's appearance. It felt as if she had just waltzed back into their lives without warning, leaving him off balance. With each passing second, he realized the invitation he'd clutched earlier felt meaningless now. "Mia, why don't you go inside and get your drawing?" Jake said, his voice steadier than he felt. Mia nodded, racing back into the house, leaving the two adults standing awkwardly in the dimming light. Jake crossed his arms, eyes narrowing as he took in Sarah's familiar face that he had been both yearning for and resenting. "What are you doing here?" he asked coldly, hiding the tempest of emotions curling in his chest. I wanted to see you and Mia before the wedding, she said softly, each word trailing off as though she were unraveling. I know it's soon, and I didn't expect you to be okay with this, but I thought if I could just explain things. Explain? You left us without a word, Sarah. The hurt leapt from Jake like a coiled spring. What is there to explain? I was lost, Jake. I needed to find myself first before I could be a good mother. I thought maybe if I could show you I'm different now, that I've changed. Her voice trembled, fighting the tears that threatened to spill. Jake's heart twisted. He wanted to believe her, but did he even know who she was anymore? Mia came bounding back, her drawing clutched tightly in her hands, excitement radiating from every pore. Look, it's our family, she said proudly, presenting the pictures of stick figures, all outlined in bright sunshine, each beaming with joy. I made this when we were picking flowers. Caught off guard, Jake glanced between the crude but beautiful image and Sarah's expression, a whirlwind of emotions sparking in the air. We were thinking of writing you a letter, Mom, Mia said with a blithe smile that could pierce armor. Do you want to? The plea in Mia's voice cracked something deep within Jake. This wasn't supposed to be happening. Sarah wasn't supposed to appear at his doorstep, igniting hope and fear at once. Wait, Jake said, taking a moment to breathe, to let the weight of it all sink in. What does that mean for you? For us, Sarah? Her eyes shimmered with the weight of possibilities as silence filled the air between them. He could see it reflected in her face. A yearning to mend what was broken, to perhaps build something anew, but his heart remained skeptical as he looked at his little girl, still hopeful and innocent. He sensed the decision was looming larger than ever. Would he allow Sarah back into their lives? Or would he continue to guard their fragile family against the pain of the past? Jake raked a hand through his hair, the tension building like a storm ready to break. We need to talk, he finally said, the gravity of his words hanging thick in the air. But as he stepped forward, ready to confront all the heartache and hope swirling around, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. When was the last time they shared a truth like that? And what awaited them both if they embraced the possibility to rewrite their story? Jake felt a knot tighten in his stomach as he stared into Sarah's eyes, searching for the familiar glimmer, the spark that once ignited his heart. What had happened to the vibrant, spirited woman he had loved? This Sarah seemed transformed, but Jake could not help but worry. She had shattered their world before by leaving, and here she was again, seeking something that felt nearly impossible to give. Mia, go inside. Okay? Just for a minute, he said, trying to maintain a calm voice, but his heart raced. Mia looked between them, sensing the tension. But, I want to stay. Just for a second, sweetheart. Daddy needs to talk, he replied, forcing a reassuring smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Reluctantly, Mia nodded and headed back inside, clutching her drawing. The door clicked shut behind her, leaving Jake and Sarah alone in the fading twilight, their breaths hanging in the charged silence. Jake, I get that this is unexpected, Sarah began, her hands fidgeting nervously, but I've thought for so long about this moment. I have so much I need to say, then say it. But understand this, I'm not just your past anymore. I have Mia to think about, Jake replied, his voice hardening. I know, and that's what I want to be part of your lives again. She rushed out, her voice rising with urgency. I've spent so much time learning, figuring out what I want. I see how happy Mia is with you, and I can't just walk away from that. Jake shook his head, frustration bubbling inside him. You can't just stroll back into our lives like it's easy, Sarah. You left. You hurt us. Do you understand that? She shut her eyes, pain etched across her face. I do. Every single day I've regretted leaving. I thought I had to choose me to find myself. But now I realize I was wrong. He studied her closely, searching for transparency. It felt as if they were looking across a chasm filled with coiled memories and sharp edges, the laughter and love, now entangled with pain and sacrifice. And what makes you think that this time is different? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper, but heavy with emotion. I've changed, Jake. I've been working on myself, building a life that could finally incorporate both my dreams and my responsibilities, she said earnestly, searching his eyes. I want to show you how much I've grown. How much I care. Care? Jake echoed, his heart aching. Caring isn't enough after what you did. It's more than love you need to show. It's commitment. Then let me prove it. Let me try. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a soft plea. Just give me one chance. Just one conversation without walls, without anger. Jake's heart cracked slightly. Could he allow that? The risk felt monumental. Yet he also saw the flicker of hope in her eyes. A spark that reminded him why he had loved her once. Fine, he relented, barely able to mask his uncertainty. One chance. But if you want to be part of Mia's life, you need to understand something very clearly. What? She asked, her voice small. This is not just your story. This is our story, and I promise to protect my daughter with everything I've got. Sarah nodded, tears pooling in her eyes. I want the same, Jake. I truly do. As the sunset cast long shadows over the yard, Jake felt the walls he had built around his heart begin to tremble. It was a small crack, but enough to let the warmth of hope seep through. Just then, the front door creaked open, and Mia peeked out, her innocent face glowing with a radiant smile. Mom, are you coming in? We can have a tea party. Jake glanced back at Sarah, who wore an expression of wonder mixed with fear as their daughter's call filled the space around them. He felt the weight of choices ahead, the choice to forgive, or to walk away from this small slice of beauty. With Mia's bright laughter lingering in the air, Jake felt a pulse of old dreams conflicting with new realities. What if, just maybe, they could create something different this time? Let us see where this leads us. Sarah, he said finally, a surge of emotions washing over him. But be ready because it's going to be a journey. As they stepped back inside, Jake sensed the fragile hope blooming anew. But lurking in the shadows was the unspoken question. Was this truly the beginning of a new chapter, or a prelude to heartache yet again? Inside, the atmosphere felt different, charged with a blend of anticipation and heavy silence. Mia darted around the living room, her giggles echoing off the walls, as she set up her makeshift tea party on the small table, spreading out colorful paper plates and cups. Jake watched her, a bittersweet smile creeping onto his face. Sarah lingered in the doorway, as if she were both nervous and grateful to witness the scene. The sight of Mia so carefree tugged at Jake's heart, reminding him of the life they once envisioned together, a life where laughter filled their home, and every moment felt like an adventure. Mia, you really think you can make the best tea in the world? Sarah asked, stepping closer to their daughter. The gleam in her eyes sparked with genuine affection, and for a second, Jake felt a wave of those familiar emotions wash over him again. Of course, it's magic tea, Mia exclaimed, her hands animatedly stirring an imaginary pot. You just have to believe. Jake felt a knot loosen in his chest, but it quickly returned. How could Sarah think she could just step in and take part in this little girl's world after leaving? The question hovered, growing heavier as he tried to reconcile the past he guarded so closely with the prospect of a future together. Do you, remember how to play? Mia asked Sarah, her brows scrunched in concentration. Of course. How about a game of pretend? Sarah replied, kneeling to Mia's level. The warmth in her tone almost shattered Jake's carefully built defenses. Great. You can be the princess and I can be the knight, Mia declared, her excitement palpable as she swung her arms around in victory. The scene tugged at something deep within Jake, pulling him toward a place he thought he'd sealed off forever. As he leaned against the doorway, he realized he had a decision to make, a path to follow that held both danger and possibility. Let her be the princess, Sarah, Jake finally said, his voice steady but softer now. You're a part of her world if you want to be. But remember, it won't be easy. Nothing worth having ever is, Sarah responded quietly, her gaze shifting to meet his. The evening continued with laughter and make-believe, each moment building threads of connection. Jake found himself watching Sarah blend in, her laughter entwined with Mia's. Yet, beneath the surface his thoughts raced. Was this truly a new beginning, or just a fleeting moment before everything came crashing down again? Later that night, after Mia had gone to bed, Jake stood in the dim light of the kitchen, the soft hum of silence overwhelming him. He could hear Sarah puttering around, clearing up the remnants of their impromptu tea party. It felt so ordinary yet so extraordinary at the same time. Jake, Sarah started, clearly hesitant. I know today was different, but I want you to know how much this means to me. He turned to face her, feeling the weight of her remorse more than the words themselves. You say that, but it's still hard to believe, Sarah. You need to show me. You need to prove to me that you're not going to walk away again. I promise I want to be here. I want to be part of her life, your life. It's not just a whim for me. It's a commitment I'm ready for, Sarah insisted, her voice steady but laced with emotion. Jake stared at her, heart racing, the past haunting him yet again. He wanted to trust, to believe, but doubt lingered heavily. There was a voice inside him whispering that hope could lead to heartbreak. Okay, he finally said, taking a breath. Then let us take it slow, one step at a time. As they exchanged a tentative smile, Jake felt the heaviness of his past begin to lift just a little. It was a fragile moment of respite, yet he understood something deep within. With every step forward, there was a chance for healing. But as the night deepened, shadows of doubt crept back in. Would it really hold? Just then, a loud crash startled them, echoing from Mia's room. Jake's heart dropped, instantly alert. Stay here, he shouted, racing toward the sound. What awaited him in that room could tip the delicate balance they had just begun to heal. Jake threw open the bedroom door, his pulse racing. The sight before him sent a chill down his spine. Mia was standing in the middle of the room, surrounded by a scattering of toys and books, her eyes wide with fear. A lamp had toppled over, the bulb flickering weakly amidst the chaos. Mia, are you okay? He rushed to her side, kneeling to meet her gaze. She seemed shaken but unharmed. I'm fine, Daddy, she said, her little voice barely above a whisper. I was just trying to grab my princess crown, and I knocked everything over. Jake let out a slow breath, relief flooding his system. He pulled her into a tight embrace, grateful that his little girl was unharmed. Next time, just ask for help, okay? We don't want any more surprises like this, he said, smoothing her hair back as he pulled away. He noticed her little brow furrowed in confusion. But I wanted to be the best princess ever, she pouted. You are the best princess, Mia. You don't need a crown or a fancy party to be that, Jake said gently. He gave her a reassuring smile, but deep inside, a knot twisted anew. With Sarah back in their lives, he wondered how much of that best version of Mia was shaped by the past. Over the next few minutes, as they cleaned up the mess together, Jake's mind drifted to Sarah. He hadn't really processed the moment they shared before the crash. Was she truly ready for this? Could she be part of their lives and not just ebb in and out like before? After returning Mia to her bed, Jake walked back to the kitchen, a heaviness settling on his shoulders. Sarah was there, the remnants of their earlier conversation hanging in the air. The warmth had dissipated, replaced by something fragile. You scared me back there, Sarah said, her tone serious. Mia, she shouldn't have to feel that uncertainty. She's resilient, but this is new for both of us. It takes time, he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. She nodded slowly, and Jake thought he could see the conflict in her eyes. I really do want to be here, Jake. I've made mistakes, but I'm ready to change. I'm not asking you to forget, just to consider a path forward. Jake felt tension build again. It's not that simple. You walked away once, he said, the edge in his voice sharper than intended. I know, but I regret it every single day. Her voice broke slightly. I've thought about you and Mia every hour since I left. I can't be the person I was. I want to build something solid, not just for you and me, but for her. Jake could see the sincerity in her eyes, yet it triggered another haunting question. Did they really know how to build that foundation? He wasn't sure. Just then, the front door creaked open. Hey, is everything okay? A neighbor shouted from the entryway, breaking the thick tension in the room. Jake shot Sarah a quick glance. They both knew this wasn't the time for outsiders. Yeah, just a little mess, but we're handling it, Jake called back, trying to keep his voice light. Cool. Just checking. She heard the footsteps retreat, leaving silence in their wake. Jake turned back to Sarah, who was watching him with a determined look. "We need to start with small things," he said, fear creeping back in. "Can we just take it one day at a time?" "Yes," she replied, her eyes lighting up with hope. "Absolutely. I'm in." As they exchanged tentative smiles once more, something deep within Jake shifted just a little. Maybe, just maybe, there was a glimmer of a new beginning. Suddenly, a loud octane roar from a motorcycle howled outside, making them both jump. It felt like a warning, a reminder that the past rode close behind. "Let us sit down and talk," Jake said, reluctantly breaking the fragile atmosphere, but realizing they had a lot to discuss. As they headed toward the couch, a question screamed loudly in his mind, one he couldn't shake. Would this chance lead them both to a brighter tomorrow, or were they only moments away from it all unraveling once more? Jake settled onto the worn couch, its fabric familiar yet strangely heavy with the weight of their shared history. He watched Sarah carefully, her nervous energy palpable. She fiddled with her fingers, glancing around the room as if searching for the right words to mend the invisible rift that had formed between them. "Remember the last time we sat down like this?" she asked softly, her eyes darting to the family pictures on the wall. It was right before everything changed. The memories flooded back. The laughter, the excitement, and then the abrupt silence that followed her departure. He nodded, reluctant to dive into the past but unable to ignore it either. "Yeah, things were different then. We were so naive." She pursed her lips, visibly hurt, but he could see the determination behind her eyes. "I don't want to dwell on the past, Jake. I want us to build new memories. I want to be there for Mia. For you." Jake rubbed the back of his neck, the tension in the room thickening. "Actions speak louder than words, Sarah. I'm not going to pretend that everything is okay just because you say it is." "I know. And I don't expect that," she interjected, her voice rising slightly. "I just want a chance to show you I can do better." "Better isn't good enough if it's not consistent," he replied, his gaze locking onto hers. "I can't keep getting my hopes up." Sarah sighed, her shoulders dropping in defeat. "What do you need from me? I'll do anything, just tell me." In that moment, Jake saw the sincerity in her eyes again, flickering like the lamp that had fallen earlier. "I need you to be present. I want you to be part of Mia's life, but I can't handle the thought of you disappearing again. She has been through enough." A flash of hurt crossed Sarah's face, but she quickly masked it with determination. "I understand. That's why I'm here, Jake. I want to be a mother to her, not just an occasional visitor. I want to be part of her life, our lives. Mia deserves certainty," he stated, his tone softening slightly. "She's already confused. She doesn't know if you'll stay or if this is just another chapter that will close on her." "Then let me prove it to you," she insisted, her voice steadfast. "Give me a real chance. Start with Mia. I can organize playdates, help with her school, whatever it takes. Just give me the opportunity to show that I'm committed." Jake considered her words, his heart beating a little faster with the weight of her commitment. He had wanted this. He had yearned for Sarah and Mia to have a genuine relationship. But at what cost? If this attempt failed, how could he bear to see Mia hurt again? Just then, the sound of Mia's laughter floated in from the hallway, pure and innocent. It pierced through the heavy air, momentarily breaking the tension. Jake's chest swelled with an aching sense of hope mingled with fear. "Mia loves you so much," he admitted quietly. "If things are going to work out, we need to be honest with her too. She deserves to understand what's happening." Sarah nodded vigorously, her expression shifting from nervousness to conviction. "Absolutely. I'll talk to her. Promise." As Sarah reached for his hand, her warmth ignited a flicker of something he thought had long since dimmed possibility. "Can we just take those first steps, one day at a time?" In that moment, beneath the uncertainty, something felt more solid than before. Perhaps this path was worth exploring, the risk worth taking. But deep down, he still wondered. Would this fragile truce last? As if on cue, the doorbell chimed, rippling through their moment. Jake glanced towards the door, his heart racing again. Who could that be? The anxious feeling returned, squeezing his chest. Was it an old friend? Someone from Sarah's past? Or a reminder of the life he thought he could leave behind? Whatever it was, it felt like a turning point, and Jake had to decide how to face it. "Let us see," he said, steeling himself for the unknown. What awaited them on the other side of that door could change everything, yet again. Jake took a deep breath, his palms rough against the smooth wood of the door. The light shone through the small window, casting shadows on the floor. He could hear Mia's laughter carry out into the hall, her joy a stark contrast to the unease bubbling inside him. "Stay here," he whispered to Sarah, instinctively stepping in front of her as he opened the door. His heart dropped. Standing on the porch was Gary, Sarah's old friend, and the last person he expected to see. The warm summer day seemed to grow colder as Jake's previous concerns about Sarah's past now stood right in front of him. "Hey, Jake," Gary greeted, a tentative smile on his face. "I wanted to check in on Sarah." "Really?" Jake replied, feeling the tension tighten in his chest. "How did you even know she was back in town?" Gary shrugged, as if the answer was obvious. "You know how it is. Small towns, rumors spread fast. A beat passed, the reality of the situation settling in. She's here, but I think she needs some space right now." "Jake, wait," Sarah called out from behind him, her voice trembling. She stepped to his side, her expression a mix of surprise and irritation. "What's going on?" Gary looked between them, the unease evident on his face. "I just came to see how you were doing, Sarah. I heard things had been rough." Jake's protective instinct kicked in hard. "I don't think this is a good time, Gary. Sarah and I are trying to work things out." "Stop," Sarah interjected. "I want to talk to him. Just let me do this." She stepped outside, her posture gaining strength as she faced Gary. "What do you want?" "I just wanted to see how you are." "Really?" he said, and his concern seemed genuine. "I've been worried about you." Jake felt his grip on the door tighten as he watched the exchange. He couldn't shake the feeling that the friendly concern from Gary masked something deeper, something that had the potential to unravel any fragile threads of trust he and Sarah were finally weaving back together. "Why?" "Because rumors are saying I'm back to be the new mother." Sarah shot back, her voice rising with frustration. "What do you want me to say, Gary? That I'm trying? That I'm failing?" "Sarah, I know," she interrupted again, her voice trembling now with raw emotion. "I don't need pity from you or anyone. Not now. Not when it comes to Mia." Jake's heart raced as he sensed a storm brewing. He sensed that the past was rearing its head just as he was finally summoning the courage to move forward. "Maybe you should just go," Jake said, taking a step closer to Gary, the tension palpable in the air. "I'm not here to cause any trouble," Gary replied, raising his hands defensively. "Mia is my priority," Sarah declared, her voice steadying as she looked at Jake. "And I'm putting her first, I promise." As his stomach nodded, Jake felt that flicker of hope dim a little. Could this man, another piece of their past, complicate the future they were trying to forge? "Mia," Jake called out, his voice steadying. "Why don't you come here for a second?" He heard her footsteps, the way they echoed with innocence, bringing sunlight into the heavy moment. "What's happening?" Mia asked, her big brown eyes darting from Jake to Sarah and then to Gary, confusion written all over her sweet little face. Jake took a breath, not wanting to show fear. "We're just having a quick chat, honey." But as he spoke, he felt the weight of the choice he had to make resting heavily on his shoulders. Should he keep the door open and let this man in, or protect Sarah and Mia from whatever history Gary held? As Mia shuffled closer, Jake's resolve began to crack. What if this was more than just an old friend? What if this was a voice from another life that threatened to pull Sarah away once more? The door stood wide open as if inviting the chaos inside, and all Jake could do was brace for the waves, overwhelmed by the uncertainty swirling around them. Would the past swallow them once again? Just then, Gary opened his mouth to speak, his expression shifting, and everything felt poised on the brink of revelation. What he was about to say could change everything. "Sarah," Gary hesitated, then swallowed hard, his eyes narrowing slightly as if he was searching for the right words. "There's something you need to know." Jake's stomach churned. He could feel Mia's tiny hand slip into his as she now stood beside him, intrigued but confused, picking up on the tension that hung thick in the air. "Just say it, Gary," Sarah urged, her voice firmer than before but still trembling with emotion. "What could possibly be so important? I didn't want to come here and drop this bomb." But he glanced at Mia, and Jake felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand up, ready to shield them from whatever was coming next. "Linda's getting married. She wants to invite you." Mia's eyes widened. "Who's Linda?" "Just someone from my past," Sarah said quickly, but Jake could see the flash of pain in her expression. "Linda is nobody, sweetheart," Jake assured Mia, trying to keep his fierce gaze on Gary. "What does she have to do with us?" "She was there through a lot, Jake," Sarah said softly, her voice breaking a little. "I should have mentioned her. But I didn't think I would have to explain all this now." Gary looked pained, as if he were standing between two worlds, Sarah and the life they could have had together, and the new one that might unfold for her along with Jake. "You need to consider whether you want to risk all this again. She is not who you think she is anymore." "Since when did you start looking out for me?" Sarah challenged. "That's not," Gary began, but Jake cut him off again, heart pounding in his chest. "This doesn't involve you, Gary," Jake said sharply. He could feel Mia squeeze his hand tighter. "Just stay out of it." Gary shifted his weight, appearing to struggle between rage and concern. "You think I'm just going to walk away after everything? What do you think this is, a fairy tale?" "It doesn't have to be a fairy tale," Jake replied, his voice more intense. "But I'm not letting you walk back into her life and make choices for her. She has enough on her plate." He glanced sideways at Sarah, searching her face for signs of support. "We're rebuilding, and I will not let anyone tear that down." Mia looked up at Jake, her expression confused. "Daddy, is everything okay?" "Yeah, honey," he said, forcing a smile that he hoped masked the turmoil. Sarah stepped towards Gary, her voice now calm, despite the trembling undercurrent. "I don't want to talk about Linda. I'm here now with Jake and Mia. I'm trying to create a life for us." Gary's eyes softened for a moment. "You don't have to keep running away. I thought maybe seeing me would remind you of that." "Seeing you reminds me of all the reasons I left." "Gary," Sarah shot back, the fire in her chest igniting. "I don't need pity, and I don't want your connection to my past to become a chain that holds me back from what I have now." The air crackled with tension, each heartbeat loud as Jake fought to keep it contained. He could feel the walls around them closing in as old ghosts began to emerge, threatening to shake the foundation they had barely started to build. "Look, maybe we should all just take a step back," he said, his voice low, trying to sound rational. "We need to focus on Mia and our future." "Right," Gary nodded slowly, but Jake could see the doubt in his eyes. "Just know this won't be over so easily. Linda won't wait forever." As Gary took a step back, Sarah's face twisted in a mix of frustration and fear, and all Jake could do was hold her close, hoping to shield her from whatever Gary had set into motion. In that moment of quiet, the weight of the past settled heavily on Jake's shoulders. Would they be able to withstand the storm? "Do you really think we can get through this?" Sarah whispered, fear flickering in her eyes as she turned to him. Jake took a deep breath, feeling the tension coiling tighter. "We have to try. For Mia. Is that enough?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. But before Jake could respond, a notification chime from his phone broke through the heaviness. Another message from Linda, and he steeled himself for what awaited. What more would they have to confront in order to protect this fragile happiness they had only just begun to grasp? Jake stood at the precipice of change, uncertainty wrapped tightly around him. The remnants of the confrontation lingered in the air like smoke. Mia was innocently playing in the next room, yet the weight of what lay ahead felt like a storm waiting to break. "Are we strong enough, Sarah?" he asked, his voice barely rising above the whisper of the evening wind. "Are we really ready for this?" A flicker of fear danced in Sarah's eyes as she inhaled deeply, the shadows of the past creeping ever closer. "I want to be," she replied, her voice steadying, "but I know it won't be easy. Nothing worth having ever is." He echoed the words from earlier, the truth resonating in his heart. Mia's petite figure darted around the corner, her laughter breaking through the tension. She carried with her the innocence and hope they both needed. "I'm still here," he reassured her, extending the hand of trust just like he would for Mia. "We can take it one day at a time. We just need to be honest with each other." With her. As if to punctuate his affirmation, his phone vibrated again. It felt like a pulse, a reminder of the unresolved. Jake frowned, glancing at the screen. It was Linda again, wanting to know if Sarah had spoken to him yet. Panic stirred in his chest. "Why won't the stop?" he muttered, gripping the phone tightly. He could feel the unpredictability of Gary's visit hanging ominously above them, threatening the tiny threads of stability they were trying so hard to weave back together. "Jake?" Sarah's voice pulled him back from the edge of his thoughts. "What is it?" "It's Linda," he sighed, already feeling the fatigue of it all wash over him. "She's trying to stir the pot. And Gary, he makes it feel like I'm right back at square one. I don't want your trust to falter because of them," she said, stepping closer, almost pleading. "I want to build a life here with you and Mia, away from that noise." Her words held a promise or a plea. It sparked something inside Jake, a dangerous flicker of hope. "Then let us make sure that we don't let them dictate who we are." "Together?" she asked, her eyes revealing cracks of vulnerability. "Together," he confirmed, a sense of determination taking root deep in his chest. In that moment, a sound filtered through the door. It was Mia again, her cheerful giggles echoing through the hallway, illuminating the space with childlike wonder. They glanced at one another, a shared understanding passing between them. "Let us go to her," Jake suggested suddenly, urgency filling his voice. "Let us show her that family is about building bridges, not walls. That we can be better for her." As they stepped into the living room, Mia was dancing with her dolls, her laughter blending seamlessly with happiness. Each twirl planted seeds of joy in their hearts, reminding Jake of what mattered most. "Hey, princess," Jake called, kneeling beside her. "Do you want us to join your tea party?" "I'd love that," Mia squealed, her eyes lighting up. Jake exchanged a significant glance with Sarah, and gradually, she sank to the floor next to them, a hesitant smile breaking through. They began to weave their way into the scene, gathering imaginary cups and delicate pastries. Each movement, though small, mended another fragile connection. As laughter bounced around the room, Jake felt a shift. Old wounds began to feel less like chains and more like stories that had given way to this moment. A second chance crafted out of love. It wasn't perfect. Dirt from the past lingered within their hearts. But today was not about dwelling on the past. It was about making a choice to step into the light, with everything they had built together. After the tea party ended, as they cuddled on the couch, Mia nestled in between them, Jake quietly acknowledged the road ahead would be uncertain. Challenges loomed like distant thunder, but he felt ready to confront them if it meant protecting the fragile joy they had in front of them. Looking at Sarah, he finally felt a softening, a slight yielding to possibility. "Let us face whatever comes next together," he urged, gripping her hand tightly. "For Mia, for us." She nodded, that familiar glimmer returning to her eyes. "Yes, for us." As they all sat together, Jake couldn't help but feel the butterfly of hope flutter inside him. This wasn't the end of their journey, but rather the start of a new chapter, one where they faced adversity united and lovingly rebuilt the pieces of their family. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow in their cozy living room, Jake smiled, realizing this moment was just the beginning. If you want more heartwarming transformations like this, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand how important it is to support the channel through these actions.